Where do you exit on Steam? Such a big position. Let's take something that's such a hefty position first, just because it's on the chart right now. Steam very much looks like it could be exit at trend right now. You really have to look at these trades and massage through timeframes. I don't know if this is going to break trend and just bust over, but if it does, you could expect it to hit 344 before it back test trend. So that would be like your first exit point, right? It's just a daily valley, very simple, um, very easy to identify. Next would be a valley that is right here. So there will be a valley here. It's probably a 4 by the looks of it. Yep, it's a 4-hour valley right there. So this would be your next exit. Each one of these exits has a different meaning, right? Like if you hit a valley like you're doing here, if you hit a valley, that's probably very much going to be an origin level in the future. If you go up and hit an inverse, that's going to be a first test pull back to a hold level, to a larger move, right? So understanding what exits mean is pretty important too, right? So a valley exit is probably going to be very much an origin level being created for a breakout point in the future. Again, inverse probably a pullback for a larger push up, but again, inverse could be rejection on to pull the move back, right? So finding exits is a combination between understanding which valleys can get hit and why, right? So we're going to mark out all the valleys here and talk about which ones are the right ones. A lot to even make this coin move up, right? So these are all targets, these are all exits, and you have to do your best to pick which one is going to be hit and for what reason. Perfect exit is based on what you break in that moment. If you're just breaking a local trend, well, like look at Waves. Waves' move was decent, but it's done, right? Like it's pretty much done. And it because it didn't break anything crazy. Like it didn't have some big crazy break. Rather, it had a local break with a big trend in the way, right? So we go to Waves and take another look at Waves, and it has trends in the way. It has levels. I haven't marked the levels because you don't need to if you see them, but it has a level here. I think right there is what I'm seeing. Yep, it has a valley right here, which is what it hit. It's so fine. It hit its whatever this is, looks like a 1 hour 4. I'm not sure, but anyways, it hits its level there, and it didn't have this crazy break. It just only broke from May 23rd. So you have to keep in mind like how big the break is what the fuel for the move is going to be. If it's just a break like this, then this is considered a pump for such a small break. Like this is 25%. That's a great move for such a small little break. Like it was never realistically going to go all the way up to here. Maybe as a positional trade, it might slowly creep this level. This might start an uptrend like this, and it might go like this, and then like this, and then like this, and this, and then it might break over. So you flood your chart with these levels, and you see what's going to happen. And yeah, okay, so you're breaking trend all the way from March. So yeah, okay, it can have a move. It can have a decent size move, probably more than 20%, right? You have to use that as a dictation as to what the size of the move can be, right? So you look at Steam and it's like, okay, well, it's a pretty decent trend break, so it's probably going to attack a daily value up here at 380. So yeah, there's like a good 30% move there, right? Like that's pretty decent, but I don't think there's much more in that. So that's what you have to look at with entries, or sorry, not entries, exits. You have to look at what is reasonable and what is in the way, because you're not going to go up and test a weekly trend and just push right through it because it seems like you're going to, because the price is low. It doesn't work like that. When you look at these exits, you have to pick the target that makes the most sense, right? Whether it's an inverse level. First, I start with trends because I like trends right now in our landscape. I like how everything is testing trend, but like Waves didn't test the trend. That's fine. It tested its level. I had assumed Waves was going for trend. Again, you just look at kind of the relevant levels, and you look at Waves and you could say, oh, well, this is probably going for trend. And it might be over the course of the next day or two, but also this is, oh, I guess the valley is right here. Oops. That looks like the start of a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, the start of a 4-hour valley there. So like this is a great target, and we might have a pullback down to all the way to 1660 and then push up to trend after that. That's fine. Like that's what happens in these moves, right? They pull back and they push up, and they pull back and they push up, and et cetera, et cetera. But when you're looking at perfect exit, again, I would go and I would start by saying, okay, why is this move happening? Right? What are we breaking? What trend are we breaking? How long has the trend been? And what are the targets in the way? Because if it's compressed anyways, it won't move. Like go back to the workshop about time as a tool. Like this will only compress to here, and then to here, and then to here, just like it's doing right now against this, to here, and then to here, and then to here, and then back over, back test here, to here, holds this level over time, goes back test, and then has a bigger move, and this is a ladder up, right? Like that's, so when you look at exits, you have to look at what's reasonable in respect to what's going on with the rest of the story. A 344 seems like a position that could happen relatively easy upon trend break. So it's a little too premature to get into steam. Something like this, it's a little too premature because we could still come down, test 287, and then pump up to the 342, which is a better situation because there's just more profits, right? Like this is a combination of perfect entry combined with an exit that makes sense, right? And then a pullback to this, a multi-day pullback. Like I would almost wonder if QKC is going to be ready to do something like this. I would like to look at the exit that was hit on QKC and how it's responding now. And then this can, have a larger swing up to maybe an inverse level here, right? So exit is all about understanding what's being broken in the moment and what your targets are, because there's lots of targets. We can see this chart is flooded with targets, but which is the right one. So it all starts with understanding how you can get perfect entry to maximize profits, because perfect entry will show you your 20-30% moves. And if you take perfect entry, you'll see the perfect exit as well, because you can't see perfect exit if you enter here. You're like, oh, 324, we could probably go up and test this level at 380, but not realizing that if this thing had just spiked down and now you were here, people are exiting this right here at this 20% move. They're not doing 40% off this. Well, maybe, I don't know, every move is different, but again, that's 20%, or is it 32%? I'm not sure. You have to watch the move as it plays on, but I think that's the best way to understand, to start anyways, perfect exit is understanding what's breaking and starting the move, and seeing the effect of perfect entry and how it can start the trade. So right now, really, we just trend was target on this. Actually, no, trend was not target. This was, I created this, which is going to be the breakout level, which actually isn't going to be the inverse here. It'll be a valley that it failed to gain. So that's going to be very important to identify which valley. Come on. Which was this, which I'm assuming, hopefully this is a daily and it makes it look really clean. Not quite, hey. This is the breakout point for QKC. This is going to be its target again in the future, because this will have just created an origin level. So we're going to go like this. This is target on QKC. This is all about understanding perfect exit, right? We just created an origin level. Let's go like this guy here. And actually, no, let's not. Let's just do a solid line that's thick. It's going to be the origin level. So you guys can already see the wedge that's happening. Like you guys can already see it. You guys already know what's going to happen. It's going to go like this, and like this, and like this, and like this, and then either fail or break. One of the two. It's either going to fail down completely. Once it gets here, it's either going to pump up or it's going to bust down. So, I mean, this is all about understanding perfect exit. You creating these scenarios, and you can see it here. Like this is picture perfect. You already have the trend it's going to follow. So this is a relatively good position on QKC, with respect that it's pretty close to the bottom of its trend here. I would not want to see it break trend. So if Bitcoin dominance starts moving up like crazy, like you want to see this trend confirm. That's what you want to see. But that's not something that we're talking about right now. That's trend confirmation is material for another day, because it did try to confirm trend here and failed. So like this is not there quite there yet. But I mean, you could see them moving QKC. It's just where it's trend. Like the trend could be all the way down here. Like the trend could collapse to down here. So I'm not really sure if this is a good trade either, because it's a good amount of money to lose there. The next trend is 16%. So yeah, I mean, but you can see where perfect exit is on this trade. Like it's very transparent. We've just created an origin level. When that breaks in the future, it's going to have a huge move. Like if this was to go like this, break this trend here and then come back and for some reason come here and confirm this will probably move up like an additional 100%. Like it would be a crazy move. It would target its weekly value, wherever that is, which actually just happens to be right there, which is kind of not so cool. So design the situation with accuracy, and you'll see where target is every time. So that's like a good covering of exits. Like there's a million scenarios. So this is not something like I'm sure you guys will have a lot of questions like, oh, what about this situation where there's exit? What about how do you see exit on this and that? I think it becomes just like a practice thing and a accuracy thing with the technicals. Like this is clearly creating an origin breakout level in the future. This is also creating a cycle, right? Like the first cycle was, I believe, right here, right? Like this is your 1, 2, 3 right here. This is going to now create this as your, remember we talked like this is all very straightforward. This is not straightforward, but all very easy to apply, right? This is going to be your break to 4, right? Break to 4, which comes here, which will then create the same purple line out here, which is then the accumulation cycle completing, right? Accumulation is completing and the move up is coming. So like really the best entry ever on QKC is actually like right here. Or right here. But this is high risk. This is high risk. Like this is the thing. Like if you're in QKC, you could buy QKC right now and say like, okay, I'm going to get 160 sats and I'm going to sell at 600, which is fine, but it's not going to happen for a long time. This is like a position trade. So if you have a quarter of a Bitcoin or half a Bitcoin you want to put on something, like, yeah, okay, QKC up to 600 sats, like up to 585 sats or something. That's fantastic. Like, but this is like, how long could this possibly take? It could take a long time because this trend could actually, it'll most likely be this yellow trend that generates that larger move. Maybe not though. It could be here. It actually could very well be right here. But if it's not, it could be the yellow trend. But at least this has started on QKC. At least it's confirmed like a support uptrend of one type here. So you can say a scalp position can be whatever you want to make out of it, right? Like, you could have entered waves, for example, as a scalp today and just gotten out at 760 and made your profits. Or you could turn it into like, it looks like waves might not be done, right? Like it's holding this whole level very well. Like you could still be in this trade from being in at 1550 down here. You could still be in this trade and wait for it to move up to its target. Like it has a target in mind, right? Like the target on waves is, oops. Target on waves is like trend or the level up here, right? There's trend or there's this 4-hour valley here. I guess I should mark it out on the chart. There's this 4-hour valley here, like 2100. There's that there. I think maybe there's a 12 is what I was looking at. 12-hour valley. Yeah, this is a 12-hour valley that I was looking at up here. 2200, which I think is reasonable to say that's going to be trend touch over the next few days. So this is like how you have to decide what you want to do with your account. Like you have a 4 there, you have, which I'm just going to leave, and then you have a 12-hour here, which is going to be pink. So this is the thing, right? Like, what do you want your trade? Where do you want your trades to be in? This is something that I look at when I am trading is what can the market do to the coins? Because what makes more sense to buy? Look at here's a good example. Encash dropped to 17 sats before moving up to 39, right? Like what can Steam go down to right now as Bitcoin dominance is moving, potentially having a breakout, and Bitcoin is potentially having a breakout right now. Like it's a scary time to be holding anything that's kind of flatlined. Like Steam right now is scary to hold Steam because Steam could easily push down to 288 here and you could lose how much instantly. And now you're in a position where all of a sudden you have to look for exit at neutrality or hope to get higher, right? I would rather take something that's going to dump before a pump, before something that's already moving up. In this case, Waves has a good chance that it dumps down completely, like it's laddering. So you see the first valley's here untested, the next valley's here untested, the next valley's here untested. It's not testing back valleys right now, and it's moving down. Yes, it's holding a hold level, but it could still easily move back down to 1660 before recreating its trend to set up another move, right? Like it could easily just do that, and then all of a sudden this goes to here, right? Like this could possibly be it for the move, or it could move up. Right now, what's the risk versus trying to get this extra 16% here? How risky is this to take versus going to something like Steam and saying you take this down here? This is relatively low. Come on. This is relatively low risk right here, right? So this is relatively low risk to here, which is also the same trade. And this is a bounce point adverse to something like where is it? Waves here, which this is like a best case scenario, but you could also, instead of making 17%, you could also lose 5% on top. Well, you can't really lose anything on Steam. So that's how I look at scalps. Like when to turn a scalp into a position. I think when you're in a trade that makes sense for it to move up, like when the target becomes, when the target makes sense and also on top of the target making sense, the market is allowing for it. That's when you turn a scalp into a swing, or swing into a position.
Hey everyone, how's it going? As you know, I'm now giving out some of this content for free that I was otherwise charging for the past little while. Um, yeah, drop a donation, subscribe to the channel, join Patreon. You'll get access to Discord. Great way. Lots of top level traders in there, people who are doing this for a career every single day. So go to Patreon, join a tier, get access to Discord. Go on Reddit, talk about future of trading, talk about the science of trading, talk about cotton candy, socials, everything you can. Let's help this thing grow. It's the way you guys can thank me for giving out this content for free that I was otherwise charging money for. So I'll leave a Bitcoin address on the screen. I'll leave the Patreon address on the screen. Just do something to help out. Okay, thanks guys. Take care.